Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. I am Samantha and I am the Luxe wife, and welcome back to another amazing home video. Well, as you see by the title today, we're doing something fun but yet creative and always, of course, informative. If I was moving into a new place, or if you're moving into a new place, you're thinking about redesigning and redecorating your space from scratch, here is the things that I would buy and why. Because sometimes we just want to start over. It's something about starting over. It's something about signing a contract for a new space. It's something about it that puts you in a different frame of mind that we absolutely love and enjoy. So we're gonna get straight into it. Well guys, I'm getting ready to head out and I'm gonna be doing some furniture shopping, which you guys will get to see in the near future of me doing some furniture shopping, because I am looking to redecorate a specific and a particular place, and when you guys see it, you'll see why. Okay, so I am dressed up for that to go outside of the house. But before I went out, I said to myself that I wanted to share some of these things with you, because sometimes when you're starting over, you just need somebody that's in your ear that's going to tell you where you should start at and not actually overdo it, because sometimes we can overdo it unnecessarily and we haven't even moved into the space yet. I am guilty of that. I'm 100% guilty of that. But I wanted to share with you guys before I head out, and I have on my cute little attire for today, and I'm wearing my Ana Luisa jewelry. You guys know I have talked about Ana Luisa for the longest 1-2 years, and I absolutely love them. I adore my necklace here as well as my beautiful stack on my arm. It is water resistant, tarnish proof, and I want to share a little secret of mine that you guys may not know. If you know me personally for over 10 years, then you know. But I used to work at a very well-known jewelry store, and honestly, I have spent my own money and I have seen others spend thousands and thousands upon dollars spending their money on jewelry. But with Ana Luisa, it puts you to shame. If I can get something very identical to what they have for thousands of dollars, it's tarnish free and we don't have to worry about it, and it looks incredibly well. I love jewelry that gives a statement. It looks high end, it looks very classic, and that's what Ana Luisa does for us. So if you're new to them, don't be, because I know you guys have heard me talk about them time and time again, but I have a link in my description box that tells you all about them, and as well as all of the pieces that I have, from necklaces to earrings to a very gorgeous beautiful stack. I have it linked in the description box, and by all means go look for something for yourself or even a gift. But I promise you, for the prices, it cannot be beat. The quality, can we talk about the quality? Chef's kiss. Link is in the description. Now let's talk about when we're moving into a new space. You know how when you walk into a space and you're immediately like, okay, I want this type of rug, I want these type of chairs, I want this type of section, or this type of sofa, without even doing any measurements? The very first thing you want to do when you're going into a new space is measure. It sucks on many occasions where I've seen people, not only here on YouTube, but other social media channels, where they're redecorating their space and they fail to measure, and now their nightstands and their bed doesn't fit together. So you're going to want to make sure that you are measuring your space. One of my rule of thumbs is to always start off with the most visible places first, and then where you're going to lay your head at. Those are always my recommendations. So recommendations would be a living room, kitchen, bedroom. Those are your top 3 places, especially if you like to have people over. Now if you don't like to have people over, baby, start with your bedroom, get that together first. But starting with those 3 spaces are going to give you the dynamic, is going to give you the layout and the blueprint of the flow of your home. Now what I'm going to ask for you to do as you are moving into your space, when you measure it, use tape. Tape is going to give you an inclination of how the furniture is going to fit, how long it's going to sit, the depth, how far it's going to come out, if it's going to be too close to your coffee table, if it's going to make the space feel tight. Those are the things that we have to do up front. And I know sometimes it's like, I just can't really see it until it's actually in the space. You can see it sometimes, you can visualize it sometimes, especially if you get that tape out and you measure it into the floor, you can pretty much get the exact dimensions of how it's going to sit in your space. So always measure first, even when it comes to your table and even when it comes to bar stools for your kitchen. Now let's talk about bar stools really quick, because this is an area that a lot of people get tripped up and mixed up on, because you have to know that there's a difference. So there's a difference between counter height and there's a difference between bar height. It is a very big difference. Now my rule of thumb is to remember the difference is counter height is most of the time in homes. Bar height is exactly what it sounds like. If you were to go to a bar, a restaurant, and they have a bar area, those are going to be the heights for your bar stools. But the problem is, company labels them as bar stools on their websites, and a lot of times they don't specify the difference unless you actually read the dimensions on the chairs, and that's where a lot of people get caught up. And I can be included in the group of people who has gotten caught up because I purchased bar stools and I needed counter stools, okay? So there is a huge difference between the two. I've shared with you guys that I had bar stools before and I absolutely love them. I think they were I know they were incredibly gorgeous, but the problem was, because they were bar stools, our knees were literally touching the counter, which you don't want, and we were hovering over to eat in our food, and that just wasn't it. So we needed counter height, which was going to sit us lower, allow us to slide directly to the countertop and eat and consume our food. But again, it can get very confusing, so I just wanted to be able to share that tip with you, because even with homes, they say, oh, just sit at the bar area, but honestly in your home it's like counter area, okay? So as you're starting with those main spaces, start with the larger pieces first. Don't start with the smaller pieces. Start with the larger pieces first. So that's going to be your sectional sofas for the living room. That's also going to be your rugs for the living room. That's also going to be your TV area. If you do not have a specified area for your TV, as in built-ins, start with having a nice oversized console underneath your television. This is going to make your space feel full and feel warm. Then you can accessorize on top of that. In the kitchen, so much, sometimes you just have to have counter stools for your counter. And then other times you have to have a table as well as chairs to accommodate the table. Start with the larger pieces first. Start with that larger table first, and then you'll know what type of chairs that you can add to that table. Don't buy the chairs first and then buy the table unless you have already pre-assessed it and you know it's going to look fine. Because again, I was one of those individuals who has before purchased my chairs prior to purchasing the table, and then when I put them together they just didn't look too good. I had to eventually spend the money again to replace them. So I don't want you to do that. Smart person learns from their self. A wise man, they learn from their self and the mistakes of others. And I want you guys to be mindful and be wise that those mistakes can happen, and mistakes cost you money, not only time but also money. Okay, and you know, if you know what I know. So start with the larger pieces. Now moving into your bedroom, what is the first thing we want to do? We want to make sure we are measuring the space. You can have your bed and you can measure your mattress and think, oh, this is the exact dimensions of the bed, so I don't necessarily have to accommodate for anything extra when it comes for nightstands. But actually you do, because the bed is always going to have just a little bit more, especially even if it's not an oversized bed, okay? Even if it's something as small and minuscule scale as even something that I have, there is still a little bit of overage on each side to accommodate for, so that way when you're going to add those nightstands, that they actually fit in the space. Speaking of nightstands, I love oversized nightstands. Now when you get them to be oversized, a lot of times they're not called nightstands anymore. They might be called side tables or side cabinets, to specify them more specifically, just because a king size bed is incredibly big, and if you have something that is going to be extended, especially like an extended headboard, you want your side tables to accommodate the size of that bed. You don't want anything to look off. You want everything to have like this nice cohesive flow. So having the appropriate size nightstands that's going to sit beside that bed is just going to make that much more sense. So now that we talked about having those foundational pieces, your bed, your sectional, your coffee table, your rugs, your kitchen table, your kitchen chairs, your counter stools, those are the founding fathers of your home. Those are those starting pieces. Those are going to shape the dynamic of your space. Now let's talk about some additional style layers that's also going to add to the space. Now style layers for me are going to be your rugs, also going to be your curtains. Now coffee tables is going to be a mix of foundational as well as core furniture, if you ask me. As far as your decor that goes onto the coffee table, that's going to be a part of your style layer. So when you're decorating your space, I've talked about before, when you have a rug in your living room, you want to make sure that that rug is at least touching every foot underneath that sofa of that sectional. If the rug is too small, it's going to make the space feel smaller. But if the rug is the appropriate size and it's larger, it's going to make the space feel full and larger. It's going to make you seem like you have more get up and go living room space than you actually do. So just to keep that in mind. For reference, I like to just start with the basis of an 8x10. Even if you believe that you have a smaller size living room, that just means that more of the rug can actually go underneath the sofa, sectional, whatever furniture type pieces that you have in your living room. But I always like to say an 8x10 is a perfect size for a living room. As living rooms get bigger, then you can go into the 11x15, which I've had the 11x15 as well. But please keep in mind, as rugs go up in size, they also go up in price. Now, one thing I do want to share is I'm not too fond of washable rugs. Now, hear me out, hear me out. Hear me out. Washable rugs, yes, that is a good character trait. It's just a good thing, a good feature to have, especially with having little ones in accident-prone areas. But I also think like they are very thin. They're very thin, and they have to be in order for you to wash them. And I don't necessarily like how they are layered onto the floor. They don't sit still enough for me. A heavy-duty rug sits still. You don't have to worry about moving it. You can put the stoppers on all four ends. But with the washable rugs, because they are not made of the same quality of material, yeah, they just, to me, I haven't found one that has been that good. Now, if you do know, please share in the comments, because we are all learning here. But let me know as well in the comments if you have purchased a washable rug and it has just withstood the test of time, because everybody need that. We all need input on that. As you are layering your furniture, as you are layering your place, keep in mind that you can change the dynamic of your space with lighting. If you're renting, not so much. You're probably going to have to ask permission for your landlord to do those type of things. And if you don't, if you take it down, I just would highly suggest you, obviously, of course, to replace it once you leave, because sometimes I do feel like they can get in the way. They can be dated. Even if this place is a brand new space, it can still give dated. Lighting is a plus for me. I talked in about a video before about having 3 layers of lighting. 3 layers of lighting can be your main room light, and then you can also have your second layer, which is going to be your lamps. Any type of lamps you have into the room, whether that's floor lamps, whether that is table lamps, those I love that second layer of lighting. That is like a mood setter. And then I like the third layer of lighting, which may be your reading light, something small that you have next to a sectional or a sofa that you don't necessarily have to cut on layer 1 or layer 2 of lighting. But having very gorgeous and beautiful lighting, it just changes everything. I've talked about before also, like in our previous home, we changed every single lighting in our home because it just instantly gave a different value. It just instantly improved the value. It just says, even if we did nothing else in the home and we did that, it looks so good. Before I finish off style layers, let's talk about oversized mirrors. Oversized mirrors is going to definitely, one, not only does it reflect light in the most beautiful, aesthetically pleasing way, it's also a decor setter. You can have an empty space and you're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to hang portraits here, or what exactly am I going to do with this space? But if you take and you put maybe a floor mirror or a mirror that actually even hangs on the wall, it changes the dynamic and it gives a different feel. Having oversized mirrors in the space, oversized wall art, that's going to be your additional layer to the space. That's going to say you actually took your time with your space, even if you're thinking ahead. And not all areas in a home or in a space have to be decorated with something. They do not. But the areas that are decorated, you better give it your all when you're decorating. Now, as you are styling these layers, and I always love to share with you guys, you do not have to spend top dollar for decor. I love Home Goods. I love TJ Maxx. I love Marshalls. I even love additional side stores that are even more inexpensive, like Ross and Burlington's, just because you can find pieces that mimic very much high-end pieces, basically identical and for a fraction of the cost. There's always times that we like to spend money, of course, and there's always times that we like to scale. And I feel like in your home, it should definitely be a mixture of some high-end pieces and some affordable pieces in the space, just because I'm making this video and saying sometimes you want to start over for that very reason. Sometimes you just want to start over, and being able to know when to spend and not to spend, how to scale and not to scale, is so important. Now, one of those areas that I'm always going to ask you to spend a little bit more money is bedding. The bed could be inexpensive. The mattress, it's up to you. But the bedding, if you want a cheap bed to look like it costs a lot of money, you have to spend a great deal on bedding, because bedding changes the look, okay? And it's almost like when you go into a hotel, you don't realize that it actually is a cheap bed. It's just the bedding, the quality of the bedding, that makes it look more inviting and relaxing, because the quality of bedding is so important. Having heavy sheets, having a heavy comforter, having pillows that's going to withstand the test of time of getting thrown and tossed around the way. Those things are incredibly important. And the last two things that I'm going to touch on, that is pretty much like a layer, is going to be your accent chairs, and I've said before, your curtains. Curtains are a big deal. They are a big deal. Too short curtains, you already know how I feel about it, okay? You already know how I feel. But having the appropriate curtains, having curtains that's going to be a floor length, is going to draw your eye up and make the space feel incredibly taller. That is how it's going to look. And in a lot of cases, even with a single window, you may need 4 panels just to give you that full look. You know how when you go into a model home and it just looks so full and it looks inviting? That's because they've spent some money on those panels, and a lot of times the higher quality of the panels, they only come one. You have to purchase multiples of it because it's not a pack of 2. So just keep that in mind. Having high quality panels, that's where you want to spend your money. And then lastly is going to be accent chairs. If you have the space in your home to add additional pieces, whether that's accent tables, whether that's accent chairs, I love adding additional style flair with those. Those little layers of style is just so, I love them so much, because those are the areas where you can scale back a little bit more, but you can dress them up really nice at those inexpensive stores like Home Goods and Ross and things like that I've mentioned, with a nice pillow and a nice throw, and it looks incredibly well. Even when you think about the magnitude of a side tables or even accent tables, you can, even if you spent a good bit of money on it, dressing them up, you don't have to spend a lot of money to dress them up, because we like to change stuff throughout seasons just to give things a different look. I absolutely love it. And lastly, guys, give your home a signature scent from the day that you move in. From the day you move in, I don't care if you have to start on the scale of plugins in your wall. Start with plugins, move on into a automatic freshener. Have a signature scent from the moment you walk into your space. You guys know you can have a signature scent in your home. That scent can be long gone and it still smells like it. Have a signature scent. Your home is your mood board. You're setting the tone for everything around you. Sometimes it seems like you can watch videos till you're blue in the face and you can't figure it out. Or if you watch other people do things, we watch things on television, we like, oh, I just wish I can do that. They are starting with the basics. They always start with the basics. They start with the furniture, they start with the rug, and then they elevate from there. Because if you go the opposite way, like, oh, I just want some blue curtains, I don't know what type of couch or rug I want yet, always start there. Find those pieces. I love to see homeowners here, even on YouTube, when they're moving into their new space and they got the sectional, they got the sofas, and it's like, now we need to find an area rug, a coffee table, and they're looking at it simultaneously because they know it has to go together. And I'm like, yes, it has to go together. Sometimes you can buy a rug and it doesn't match the style of the coffee table, and now you don't like the rug even though you love the rug more than you love the table. That's why we got our founding fathers. That's why we have our starting pieces that we're going to always style with, those core pieces that is going to shift the dynamic of your space and make it feel cozy, and you easily have a Pinterest home. Okay, Pinterest and polished is what I like to call it. I actually like that. Pinterest and polished. Well guys, that is it. I hope you enjoyed today's video. Something oh so informative. I know sometimes we all love to see the home makeovers and doing things, but I also love to sometimes sit down, have a chit chat, and focus on the matter at hand. I enjoyed you guys today. I enjoyed this video today. As always, like I mentioned before, get you some Ana Luis jewelry. I'm about to head out. The link is in the description box. Let's chit chat. If I forgot to mention anything, y'all know how to find me. You know how to find me, okay? But I will see you guys later. Bye.